Today we will start with the reporting tools. First reporting tool, SQR. In the last session, we completed the discussion about the interfaces with the help of application engine. We developed two types of interfaces in the side of application engine, inbound and outbound. Here comes to the topic reporting, and the first reporting tool we will discuss about SQR, Structured Query Report Writer. Nowadays there is a saying in the PeopleSoft side, everybody is saying that there is no use of SQR, we won't write any new SQR programs. Okay, I am also accepting that. But still we have to learn SQR. Why? Why? Because in our, let's take PeopleSoft HCM or Finance, already some delivered programs are there. If you open any delivered program, any delivered stuff, let's say try to print the paycheck in payroll for North America, payroll processing USA, produce checks, print paychecks. Still, in this, if you would like to print the paycheck, page 003 is the SQR report. If you try to print the advice form, it will be SQR report. Most of the reports in the payroll, in the benefits, time and labor, in some of the areas in finance, still they are using SQRs. Then any change came up, any error came up in the existing program. And you know, most of your clients, if you are working in a real-time project, PeopleSoft is the ERP they are using to maintain the system. Then from long back they are using the PeopleSoft. Then 100% they written most of the SQR reports in the past. You have to retrofit those programs for the current system. You have to, sometimes you may get some issues in the program. Sometimes you may get some additional requirements, enhancements in that particular report. Then you have to open the SQR program and you have to add your own logic. SQR programming is almost similar to the application engine programming. In the very earlier versions in PeopleSoft, they don't have application engine, they only have SQR. For inbound and outbound, they used SQR in the previous tools versions. After application engine introduced, most of the file processing techniques like inbound and outbound file processing, they are using application engine. But still they are using SQR in the side of reporting. What is the difference? Generally, we practiced one stuff like in application engine, we practiced outbound. We generated a file with the data. That particular data file will be used the third-party system or your client system to load the data into their databases. In outbound, we can generate one more type of report. It's a printable report. Let us say if you run this program, let's say producing the check, print paycheck. If you run this program, then it will generate a printable report. It's not a data file, it's a printable report. It will generate a printable report with the paycheck information. These kind of reports still SQR is the tool they are using. And most of the delivered processes, they are using SQR in report printing. Now, coming to the inbound technique, we are getting the data from file and we are loading the data into the component. Earlier they used SQR, but nowadays inbound processing, they have a privilege to use the component interface to perform all the component validations. That is the reason still they are using application engine programs instead of SQR. In SQR, you have to write each and everything manually, but in application engine, component interface will help us to load the data into the system by performing all component validations. Here it succeeded. Let's try to open the report which was generated just now. This is the PDF generated. This is the PDF. Paycheck. You know, design this PDF, design this layout, boxes, design this graphics is easy in SQR, not in application engine. This is a printable report. We can't read the data by using any tool with this kind of file. It's just a printable report. Now coming to the SQR, what it is, it's a programming language. And it combines the powerful SQL queries. That means SQR program is nothing but a powerful combination of powerful SQL queries. SQL queries will fetch the data. Once it's fetched the data, we will design a report based on that. It's extremely flexible. You know, one thing, if you observe the senior people who are sitting with you in your real-time project, most of them are comfortable with SQR. Why? Because they are working on SQR from so long time, and it's more flexible. You can do wonders with SQR. It's more flexible. You can design the reports, you can design the layouts, you can design the charts, you can design the graphical outputs in SQR. What it can do, it extract the data from database and it can load the data into the database. It processes complex file structures. Just now I showed you one complex file structure in Paycheck. We can print the report with some dynamic breaks and multiple levels. It creates interfaces. That means before this application engine, we used SQR to create the interfaces in between the systems. SQR is the tool which will generate the data file and it will handle it. It will be loaded by the third party. Main components in the SQR in the two tier: SQR workbench, SQR viewer, SQR server, SQR print, and SQR execute. You can see the output files by using the SQR viewer. You can convert the two types of reports will generate whenever we are running the simple SQR program: SPF file and LIS file. SQR executable programs. Two types of servers it can handle. It's a Windows version and non-Windows version. That means Unix or Linux. Workbench, graphical development environment with simple drag and drop facilities. We can run the SQR program via the workbench in the two tier. Databases supported by SQR. All these are the databases supported by SQR. Operating system supported by the SQR. All these are the operating systems: Windows, Linux, Unix, everything. Coming to the program, SQR program. From now onwards, from this slide onwards, we can compare our learning in SQR with application engine learning. SQR has 5 main sections: setup section, heading section, footing section, program section, and procedure section. 5 main sections in the SQR program. I am repeating: setup, heading, footing, program, and procedure. Order also the same. Execution order also the same. Execution order is setup, heading, footing, program, and procedure. If you have 5 sections in your program, order also the same: setup, heading, footing, program, and procedure. Now, 5 sections. First, we will discuss about the program section. Only one program section in your program. Simply compare this statement with application engine. Only one main section in the app engine, and it's a mandatory section. Here also, program section is mandatory. There is no program section, we can't call it as an SQR. Application engine, whenever we created the application engine, by default, main is the section. It appears whenever we created an application engine. Here also, whenever we are writing SQR program, you have to write the section program. It controls the flow of the processing, and the main logic will be lies in this program section. Any other sections in the application engine other than section main, we can create number of other sections also: section 1, section 2, blah blah blah. But all those sections logic other than main, we have to call within the main. Here also the same. Other than program section, if you are writing any procedure sections, you have to call those procedures within the program section. Next, this is the output of the SQR program. It's just a printable output, printable report output. Whenever you are printing the report by using SQR program, if you are deciding, okay, heading should be there in SQR program, then you have to allocate some lines for the heading. You have to allocate some lines for the footing. The remaining is the body of the report. We will try to write a simple SQR program like Hello World in the Sea. Begin program, where we can write the SQR program in a notepad or a text pad. We are not writing this in application designer. It is not a people tool. It is not integrated with people tools. If anybody is asking, what is the main difference between application engine and SQR? Application engine is a people tool. SQR is not a people tool. We are writing SQR in notepad or text pad. Simply, I am using this same command. Begin program. Whenever you are starting a section, any section, it's a program, heading, footing, setup or procedure section. This is the command: begin program, end program. Show is a command in SQR. Show is a command in SQR like our win message or message box. Print happy journey 1, 1. Let us say 1, 1. This is the program we written. Whenever you are saving your SQR program, Let us say basic SQR program, basic.sqr. I would like to tell you one thing. SQR naming convention, 8 letters will be there generally. Sample program 01.sqr. 8 lettering, 8 character. Just to save it. It's an SQR program. Now, close this program. We written this program. It's an SQR. I would like to execute it. In my desktop, you all see there is a shortcut, SQR workbench. Venkat, in my desktop, there is no shortcut available for SQRW. Then go to this navigation where you install where you have the tools folder. Go to the app server. No, not in app server. Bin. Here is the one. This is the navigation. Tools folder, bin, SQR, MSS, bin W. SQR workbench. I think this is the folder. Give me a minute. Yes, that is the folder. Bin, SQR, MSS, bin W. Here you see, this is the one. Right click and send to desktop shortcut. SQR workbench. Whenever you double click this SQR workbench, it is asking the report name to execute. That means application engine we created. First, we ran the application engine via application designer. That is called two-tier run. Here also the we created SQR program. We are running by using SQR workbench. This is the two-tier. Files. In the desktop, we created the program. We opened the program. Data source, my database name, my database user ID and password. Here, please use the report command ziv, which will generate the report, which will open the report directly. Please note down this command -ziv. Click on OK. Have you observed? Getting started, best of journeys lie ahead. Generally, if you written any message box or win message, it will open before the actual page opens. Here also, this is the compile stage. You see here, what we written in the program, show getting started. Yes, getting started, it is printing like this. Best of journeys lie ahead. Here, it's printed to show getting started, show best of journeys lie ahead. End of the SQR program. Print, this is the command which is printing the SQR file, output file, happy journey, 1, 1, first row and first column. Let us say first row, 10th column. Close the output file. Try to run the program again. File, SQR program, database, -ziv. Have you observed? First row, 10th column. That means it's a placement. Parameter, print parameter. In our program, it's a print parameter. You can make it as a bold. Let's try. SQR program. Have you observed? It's bold now. That means we can design the report like this. Print is the command which is helping us to print the SQR output. And the parameters here, they are using to print the data on the file based on the position. First row, 10th column. This is the simple SQR program. We generated we written the program and we save it as .sqr and we ran via SQR workbench. What are all the informations we added here? Report name, that means the report file path, program path where we saved the program, and the data source, what is the database, and user ID, password, report argument -ziv. Now, coming to the next, this is the information we added, report name, database, all this. Setup section, it must be placed at the beginning of the program. It will fire at the compilation stage before the actual program execution. Compilation and execution, two stages will be there in the run. Compilation stage, SQR setup section will fire. Generally, if you observe, these type of commands we will use in setup section. That means we are declaring a layout of the report. We can declare the variables, we can declare the images, we can declare the charts, all the stuff we can use in the setup section. I will discuss with you later about the setup section. Next, heading and footing. Heading, okay, let us say I am copying this heading portion and I am placing in my SQR program. Begin heading, end heading. Observe carefully. Whenever I started the SQR any section, begin heading, end heading must and should be there. Here, observe carefully, I am giving the number 4 for begin heading. That means here I am allocating some lines for my heading portion. Print employee data, something like this in the heading. Please keep in mind one point. SQR is not case sensitive. SQR is space sensitive. Here, 1, 1. Whenever I copy and paste it, some codes are mismatching. Some codes style is changed. That's why I'm adding the codes manually. Save it. Now, try to run this program. It will generate a heading for us. Here like this. Earlier, this was on the first line of the report. Now what happened? You allocated 4 lines for the heading. In the 4 lines, within the 4 lines, you are printing the first line of the heading. First line of the heading. Here like this. It's just a printable report. It's not a data file. I'm repeating the word again. It's just a printable report. Now, footing. The same footing. Here I am using the same in footing. Begin footing, end footing. Page number is a PeopleSoft SQR predefined function. It will design a concept like this. How many pages are there? Generally, at the bottom you see the page numbers 1 of 1, 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10, like that. It will display the information like this. Okay, by mistake, you forgot to give how many lines you are allocating for the footing. Then what will happen? Just try to run the program. You forgot to add number of lines for the footing. Have you observed? Error on line number 12. Cannot find required numeric parameter. Here it's clearly giving us line number 12. View line numbers. Line number 12. This is the line number. What it is saying? Cannot find required numeric parameter. That means it is expecting a numeric parameter here. That means generally the application engine fails. We will open the output file and we can see the standard output file and we can see the errors. Here also the same. Line number 12 here. Now I am giving 2 lines for the heading. Now try to run the program again. Select your database -ZID. Okay. Now you see at the bottom, it's generated only one page output. That's why it is showing page 1 of 1. If you're generating 10 pages output, it will show you 1 of 10, 2 of 10, like that. This is heading portion. This is the body of the program. And you given 2 lines for the footing. This is heading, footing, and program section. Procedure. One more section, procedure. Here, in our application engine also, we use the same. Okay, remove these 2 short statements. Okay, here I am using a procedure command. If you are using number of sections in your app engine, generally we will using the call section technique to call other sections in our application engine, as we discussed in the application engine learning. Now, in SQR, we will use the command do. My procedure name is select employee. This is my procedure. Now, what I have to do, I have to write here begin procedure, but I have to mention procedure name. Even in the call section also, we selected the program, and which section you are calling, you have to mention that section name. Here also the same. We are calling a procedure. Here we are executing a procedure, and in the procedure we are clearly giving the name, which procedure we starting, and end procedure. End procedure. Here I am using the same statement here in my procedure section. Here, like let us say first procedure. Let us say it's printing, Happy Journey is printing 1, 10, Now it is printing, let us say 3, 10. No bold. I am using one more print command, center. Let's see what will happen. Now, observe carefully. I am running the program again. Have you observed? Heading, happy journey, first procedure. I am opening the program. Observe carefully. I am getting a doubt. Venkat, whenever we started the program, I called select employee. In the select employee, I printed the line first procedure. Next, that particular procedure is completed. Next, I am printing the happy journey. But here in the output file, first procedure is coming bottom. Happy journey is coming first. Here I am explaining you again. Whenever I started the program, I am calling a procedure. In the procedure, I written a statement to print first procedure. Once this procedure was completed, then I am printing one more line, happy journey. But in the output file, first happy journey is coming, next first procedure is coming. Why?
Because in column you gave 3.
Print parameter, right? Print parameter we decided. Line number 3, print this. Line number 1, print this. Now, in application engine, we can call section within the section. Here I am calling do let us say second procedure. Otherwise, select employee, select, okay, department. This is one more procedure I am calling. Then I am starting the procedure here, begin procedure, select department, and end procedure. Here I am using the same type of print command. DEPT, department procedure. Here I am giving 4, 10. Now what we did, whenever my program started, I called one procedure, select employee. It is calling. Whenever I call the select employee, first I am printing this. Next, I am not going to the program. I am calling the select department procedure. Here I am printing this. Next, it will go to the program. Once the entire logic in the select employee completed, next it will go to the program and it will print the happy journey. Now try to execute this program. Now that particular second procedure will come here. Let us see. Like this, first procedure, department procedure.
Venkat?
So all these 3 statements, they start at 10th column. Why is happy journey is way ahead of? first and default.
Yes.
They are all on different lines, but they start on the same column, right? 10th column.
Why? Because, good question. We made it as center position. Center, page center. Even though we defined the column number 10, but we decided it should print on the page center. In the third row, center of the page.
So in this case, we can skip giving comma 10, just 3 at center or 4 and center
You
is
have to
fine.
give the column number.
Always.
Okay. Then only system can understood print position. It's a what I can say, it's a syntax for the print command.
Okay.
That means you can compare each and every learning, each and every line you are learning in SQR, you can compare with your App Engine learning. This is the main section. This is the section 1 and this is section 2. We are calling section 1 from the main section with the help of call section. We are calling section 2 within the section 1 here by using call section. Everybody is clear or any questions so far? We haven't started coding part. Just we are trying to learn how SQR program is designed, how SQR program is structured.
What is that last syntax, last page? With the
page number and last page both are PeopleSoft SQR functions, which will help us to write the output in this manner. Page 1 of 1. If you are generating 10 pages, then 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10, like that. It will help us. If these two are the PeopleSoft delivered SQR functions, like our win message, SQL EXEC, some functions are there, predefined functions in our people code. It's also a programming language, SQR. It has some predefined functions.
So the last page function has those attributes, empty bracket off, colon dot.
Yes, like this.
That's
the output will be like this. Now, nested procedures also we discussed about. That means we included procedure within the procedure. Now, before discussing the data elements, okay, better to complete the data elements first. SQR data elements. I think we have one better PPT for this. Give me a moment. Yes, data elements. Data elements in SQR. We have 3 types of data elements. SQR columns, SQR variables, SQR literals. That means we are now taking a deep dive into the SQR language. SQR data elements must be identified with a special character that specifies both the category and format of the data element. The special character must be placed at the beginning of each data element's name. You know one thing, try to remember the people code sessions and application engine sessions. Whenever we are declaring a variable, we are using ampersand, local row set, ampersand, local number, local row, local string. Everywhere we are using in the people code, ampersand is the special character. Based on that, application designer, people code, editor will understood it's a variable. Coming to the SQR language, it has 3 types of data elements. SQR column, SQR variable, and SQR literal. What is SQR column? We have a database. In the database, we have tables. Within the table, we have a number of columns. That means in the application designer, I can use it as recorded field. In the database, I can use it as table and column. SQR columns are used to reference columns defined in the database. That's it. That means if you simply query your table in the database, if you simply query your table in the database here like this, select star from ps_job. It's a table. All these are the columns. All these are the columns. SQR columns are used to reference columns defined in the database. In order to reference a table column, SQR uses a symbol ampersand. Irrespective, it's a number, it's a date, it's a string. If you would like to use it as a column, SQR column, then you have to use a special symbol ampersand. Then Venkat, how system will recognize it's a date, it's a character, it's a number? SQR assign types to columns based on their definition in the database. You do not have to declare SQR columns in your program. Generally, try to remember the people code sessions. We declared type of the data like local row set, local number, local character, local string, local date. We are defining exactly what type of data that particular variable will carry. Here, system will take care about it. Based on what? Based on their definition in the database. I will try to open one SQR program. It's a SQR program written by my developers in the real time. Here somewhere you see here. Let us say this is the table name in the database. This is the field name in the database. Have you observed? Ampersand. Here they are fetching the data. They are using ampersand. This is called SQR column. This is called SQR column. Here we don't know it's effective. Yes, we know it's an effective date. But what they are using? Ampersand. In some other scenarios, they may use some other syntaxes. Like here, date, ampersand. They are collecting here. They are using ampersand. Now, that means you are using a reference. Ampersand means it's an SQR column. System can understood it's an SQR column. Here like this, employee ID, ampersand, date. We know employee ID is a character. Date is a date. Sequence is a number. For each and everything, they are using column, SQR column. If you are referencing it's an SQR column, I am repeating a statement here. Please listen carefully. It's not a variable, it's a SQR column. Variable is different. Variables are different from columns. If you are comparing SQR variables with columns, those are different. I'm talking about SQR columns. Whatever the data you are fetching from the database, you would like to use them in your programming, you have to use ampersand. Coming to the variables now. Three types of variables are there mainly: string, numeric, date. Three types of variables. That means Now you would like to store the data in a variable. You are collecting the data from the database. Now you would like to store the data in a variable. In people code, what we did? We declared local date, local number, local string, like that. But each and every variable in the people code, it's a date, string, or number. We use ampersand. But the declaration we are doing manually. Local date, local number, ampersand number. Local string, ampersand employee ID. Local date, ampersand effective date. But here, system will be recognized. System will recognize based on the special character what we are adding to the variable. What type of variable it is, it will be identified by the special character we are giving. Three types of variables: string variables, numeric variables, and date variables. Observe carefully. String, SQR uses the special character $, for both string and date variables. Now I am going to the SQR program. Observe carefully. Employee number. We know employee ID is a character. That's why $ they used. Effective date. Yes, it's a date. Character, date. Both they are using $. The special character hash for the numeric variables. That means whenever you are fetching the number information, effective sequence 100%, you will use the hash. Now system will recognize this is the string or date. This will be the number. In addition to the string, numeric, and date variables, SQR uses some special variables. Some we can call it as a document markers. Very occasionally you will see they use @ is the symbol. And list variables also there. It's a combination of all other variables. Here, whenever you are using a variable in SQR, you have to initialize it. Let's try to identify something. Okay, better I will open this program on the notepad. Here, observe carefully. Employee number, they are using as a variable, but what they are doing, they are initially setting it to null. Setting it to null. All string variables are initialized to null. Here, like this. Date also null. String, that means $ symbol should initialize it to null. Venkat, why? Why? Because we are using a variable. The procedure is completed. Then again, it should go to the null and it will take the new value. All numeric variables are initialized to 0. Here, like this. When a new value is assigned to a string variable, its length is automatically adjusted. That means here we are not defining any special length for a string. Like, why? Because employee ID is a string, national ID is a string, name is a string. Employee ID has 11 length. 11 is the database length. Name 55, national ID 20. Don't bother about the length. Why? Because name Venkat has 6 characters. Venkat has 6 characters. Right? Joycey has 5 characters. Then it won't bother about the length. It will be bothered about the data which is coming into that variable. You're defining it's a string variable, but you are getting numeric data. You defined it as a numeric variable. You are getting string data. It's not meaningful. This is very, very important statement. Variable names are not case sensitive. For example, you defined a variable name like this, dollar, capital letter NAME is same as dollar all caps, dollar all smalls. But in people code, if you open the people code, ampersand, sorry, if you define like this, employee ID, ampersand, employee ID, both are different variables in people code. Ampersand, employee ID, these three are different variables. But in SQR, if I'm using like this, anywhere in the program, if you are using this command like this, record.value, record.employee.value, something like that, just imagine. Then you stored something in this variable, but in some other where conditions where a.employee ID equals to like this, then value, 100% value will pass in SQR. Why? Because SQR is not case sensitive. Variable names are not case sensitive. But in application engine or any people code, if you are using like this, if you are using any where condition in your queries, a.employee ID equals to, it won't pass any value. Why? Because in people code, variable names are case sensitive. Please keep this in your mind. SQR variables can be global or local. SQR variables can be global or local.
Venkat?
Please go ahead.
What about the list variable? Do you have to assign, initialize it null?
List variable, I will explain you in coming 5 minutes. Give me 5 more minutes, we will close it, okay? Global variable and local variable. Generally in application engine or people code or anywhere, we discussed, even yesterday, Srini showed us one session. In that particular session, you see global number, global variable, global character, global string. We know 3 types of declarations in the people code: local, component, global. Local means within that particular people code portion, within that particular people code event only it has life. If you declared it as a component, until the component processing is completed, it has life. Global session is completed. Here also the same. Local and global, there is no component. Why? Because we are in SQR. Local means within the procedure. Yes, we have a program. We have a program here. This is the procedure. You declared a variable within this procedure. You're deciding it as a local, then it has life until this procedure is completed. If you declared it as a global, then it has life throughout the program. Venkat, you already told us in SQR program there is no definition of local and global variables. We can't declare local variable, something like that. Yes, there is a observation. How can I understood it's a local or global? Here, by using this. Observe carefully. Observe carefully. Dollar date of hire, it's a local variable. Dollar underscore name, it's a global. After the special character, if you are using underscore, then system will consider it's a global variable. Please keep in mind, sometimes it will create so many roadblocks in your debugging. Please try to understand. Any special character has underscore after that, then that particular variable is a global variable in the program. There is no special character, then the local variable in the program. In addition to the string, numeric and date variables, SQR uses special variables, document markers. I already discussed with you. Next and last and final discussion, it's SQR literal. constant. It's a constant, SQR constant, SQR literal. It's a string constant, numeric constant, date constant. Generally, in people code, we can assign value constants. I can show you some example. Here, something like this. It's a constant. It's a character. Company is a character, not a number. That's why they are using a single quotes. It's a constant. Sometimes they are comparing with a number. There is no constant. There is no constant. There is no special quotes required. That's what they are saying. SQR literals are string, numeric, and date constants. String literals must and should be enclosed in the single quotes. Date literals also. Numeric literals, no need of any single quotes. Why? Because it's a number. We will see. This is the data element structure. SQR data elements. 3. SQR columns, SQR variables, SQR literals. In the examples, you asked me a list variable example. Here is the list variable. It's a concatenation. List variable is a concatenation of all other variables. List variable is equals to, we can concatenate number of variables into a list variable. I think one more example will come in the upcoming discussions. SQR data elements. Give me a moment. I think we will continue tomorrow, the remaining part of the data elements. I think enough for today. The remaining stuff tomorrow.